This story starts with a woman on social media looking for her missing friend. Who was she looking for? To find the answer, we must go back a few days. At a mystery magazine office, the editor-in-chief, Sayama, was getting ready to work overtime. His employee, Ozama, asked what story he was working on that required spending days in the basement archive room. Sayama did not tell him, only saying that the story would be truly shocking. Sayama worked late into the night when he suddenly felt a presence. The lights flickered wildly. Suddenly, a voice called his name. When Sayama turned around, he saw a figure that looked exactly like him. The figure stared at him. Sayama felt terror, and suddenly, blood poured from his eyes. 2 weeks later, a journalist named Chihiro came to the magazine office. Ozawa invited him to finish Sayama's report, as Sayama had been missing for 2 weeks. Ozawa then took Chihiro to the archive room to see the data Sayama had been working on. This report was very important. If it wasn't printed on time, the mystery magazine would be shut down. Upon reaching the archive room, they saw a huge amount of data Sayama had collected. To understand what story Sayama was actually working on, they had to check all the data there. They watched a video recording about a little girl who went missing after school. Strangely, she vanished only 40 meters from her house. Shortly after, the girl's uncle committed suicide in a river. Once, a driver passing by saw a small girl with a backpack standing in the bushes. The driver asked the child what she was doing there. The driver was shocked when he saw that the child's eye sockets were completely black. Next, they watched a video of junior high students on a field trip on a mountain. The students heard voices calling and inviting them to climb to the top. Suddenly, one of the female students fainted. A hand appeared behind a tree, and then other students started fainting too. They still hadn't found any clarity on the type of story Sayama was working on. Next, they watched a video of a man touring on his bike. He reached a small temple in the middle of the woods. The man was surprised to see the temple filled with strange dolls. Suddenly, the footage broke, and the man looked hypnotized, raising his hands as if reaching for something. Then, they watched a video recording of a live streamer who enjoyed visiting haunted places. He visited an empty house rumored to be haunted. Inside the house, there were many ropes used for hanging, and a very large hole was visible underneath. He then went upstairs to the second floor and found a sealed room. He opened it and found even more ropes for hanging. The room walls were covered in mysterious drawings with writing on all 4 sides. The live streamer found a picture of a child in a drawer. Suddenly, the child in the photo moved its eyes. The streamer was instantly terrified. Then someone appeared, hanging and swinging behind them. The streamer screamed, and the stream cut off. After this event, the live streamer vanished. Ozawa found a flash drive containing Sayama's interview with a young man named Yuji Meguro. Yuji talked about his friend Sato. They had watched a horror video that was said to kill anyone who viewed it. While watching, Sato said he heard a voice calling him. After that, Sato suddenly became quiet and stopped hanging out with friends. They went to Sato's house. There, they saw the same mysterious drawings found at the house where the hanging occurred. Yuji then handed over the flash drive with the deadly horror video. The video seemed like a collection of creepy, strange events. Chihiro and Yuji noticed the similarity of the mysterious drawings at Sato's house, but they didn't know what they meant. Ozawa feared he might die since he had watched the deadly video. Chihiro dismissed Ozawa's fear and told him to focus instead. The next day, curious Ozawa kept studying the video. Suddenly, Chihiro tapped him on the shoulder from behind. Ozawa then showed Chihiro his discovery, a website discussing the mysterious drawings. Ozawa also collected the locations where incidents related to the drawings occurred. They concluded that these events started at the suicide house in the Kinki region and then spread across Japan. Ozawa then showed a video of a family moving into their new house facing a mountain. On their first day, a scary event happened. A woman jumped to her death from the top floor. Ozawa realized that their current location was the same building as the one in the death video. Ozawa felt excited because he started seeing the bigger picture of Sayama's reporting, but Chihiro warned Ozawa not to act recklessly. Chihiro went to see a psychic. She asked about the meaning of the mysterious drawings. The psychic tried to sense them. Suddenly, the psychic became terrified. A hand appeared behind Chihiro. After that, the psychic ran away. Chihiro then received Yuji's interview video from Ozawa. In the video, Yuji mentioned seeing a teenager whose head was broken and slumped backward. Yuji then looked for a priest for an exorcism ritual. However, the priest vomited and lost the battle against the demon. The priest told Yuji that he must keep a living creature to ward off this demon. At the same time, Ozawa saw a news report about a family that had vanished. The mysterious drawing was stuck to their house. Ozawa went to the location to investigate the house. There, he found the drawing and took a picture.
Suddenly, something appeared behind him. Next, a video showed a chain letter that had to be forwarded to at least 3 people. The letter was the same mysterious image. If someone didn't forward it, they would die. Several high school students who failed to send it were later found dead by suicide. Chihiro warned that the coverage was very dangerous. She told Ozawa that if he wanted to quit, now was the time. But Ozawa decided not to stop. They chose to continue. While they were eating, Yuji suddenly replied to Ozawa's email. They agreed to meet at Yuji's house. Yuji kept many cats and fish, following the advice of a priest. Yuji explained that once all his cats and fish died at the same time. That night, a woman in a red dress visited him, waiting outside his house. Now, Yuji fills his home with animals again, replacing any that die immediately. He also mentioned that the priest who helped him had died by suicide. Following Yuji's advice, Ozawa started keeping fish. They then watched the final video, a cartoon about Masaru, a boy who loved his mother very much. One day, his mother died, and he grieved daily at her grave. Suddenly, a god descended. The god offered to grant his wish. Masaru wished to be with his mother again. However, the god said his mother was dead. The god gave him a persimmon fruit. If a woman ate this fruit, she would become his wife. Masaru could use his wife as a replacement for his mother. So Masaru shouted every day, calling for a woman to eat the persimmon, but no one would. Eventually, Masaru grew tired of shouting and died. Since then, his calling voice is often heard in the mountains. Frightened villagers built a temple to calm Masaru's spirit. Ozawa concluded that Masaru's voice was the same as the one calling the children during the school trip. It was also the same voice heard in the video of a man touring a small shrine filled with dolls. Coincidentally, these locations were all near the house where the suicide occurred. That night, Ozawa received information from a friend. He dropped his pen, and when he went to pick it up, he found a piece of blackened, blood-stained paper. This paper showed the locations of mysterious incidents related to their coverage. Ozawa's co-worker went down to the basement. He found Ozawa acting strangely and messing up the room. Ozawa looked like he was possessed. He screamed hysterically, frightening his co-worker. The next morning, Chihiro arrived and did not find Ozawa. Ozawa's phone was left behind. Ozawa's friend called and said that Ozawa had called him strange things late last night. Ozawa had said, "Thank you for finding me." His friend felt disturbed and hung up. Chihiro checked Ozawa's laptop and saw a photo of a shop whose residents had disappeared. She went there and found Ozawa walking around looking confused. Chihiro immediately slapped him, bringing him back to his senses. She took Ozawa to her house and offered him lunch. Ozawa saw a photo of a baby. Chihiro said it was Takumi, her son who had died as an infant. Chihiro said that Ozawa was in danger. Ozawa then told her that a friend who knew where Sayama was had called her yesterday. They agreed to go see Sayama. When they arrived, Ozawa decided to record everything with her camera for her report. Chihiro rang the bell, but the door was unlocked. They went inside and found the house was very smelly and messy. The house was full of animal waste and dead birds. Suddenly, Sayama appeared, along with his wife, who seemed possessed. Sayama yelled at Ozawa for interfering with his coverage and risking her life. He then told Chihiro, "After me, now her, you trick them one by one." He also called Chihiro disgusting, which confused both of them. Suddenly, Sayama took off his eye covering, revealing hollow eye sockets. He said everything was pointless. Just then, Sayama's wife jumped down and died, impaled on the fence railing. Sayama watched calmly, as if ready for death. He gave Ozawa a paper package. Then Sayama stood next to his wife's body and stabbed the sharp iron bar through his eye socket into his brain. Sayama died. Chihiro decided to escape, taking Ozawa with her. On the way, Ozawa opened Sayama's package. It was a flash drive. They decided to watch it. The flash drive held a recording of a religious group called Amano Iwayato. They were people who had lost loved ones. They lived together in one building and prayed daily to a sacred stone they called Yashido-sama. One follower interviewed said he joined the group to ask Yashido-sama to bring back his dead boyfriend. Ozawa was surprised to see Chihiro in the video too. Chihiro explained that her baby had just died and she was sad. She felt the religion's teachings offered warmth, so she joined. Chihiro remembered the organizer telling her that the Yashido-sama stone suddenly appeared in their park 10 years ago. The group broke up 10 years ago because the stone disappeared and the organizer went crazy. Ozawa realized the key to everything was the Yashido-sama stone. Chihiro had another clue. They would look for the creator of the Masaru story. The writer lived in the Kinki region, so they immediately went there. The writer told them he had heard the Masaru-sama story from an old woman next door. He explained that years ago, an elementary school child had hanged himself from a tree in the playground there. The mother became hysterical. She tried to jump to reach the child's body but failed. The mother eventually went insane. The mother then drew pictures of her son on paper and posted them everywhere. Chihiro showed the mysterious drawing they had found to the writer. The writer then explained what the picture meant. The writing next to the paper was the name of the child who hanged himself, Ryu. The writer took them to his house.
They were shocked to see the number 5 on the same building shown in the death video. The writer showed them the mountain where the Masaru-sama shrine stood. He said that 10 years ago there was a black stone there. Suddenly, the stone vanished and dolls began piling up everywhere instead. They decided to search for the shrine.
As they passed through a tunnel, a figure suddenly blocked their path. A scary-faced woman stood in the road. Behind them, a small child with his head hanging backward blocked their retreat. They were likely the ghosts of the mother and child who hanged themselves. Gathering his courage, Chihiro finally drove straight into the woman, making her fly away. They continued their journey. On the way, Chihiro mentioned that the suicide house had a very large hole where the stone seemed to have once rested. The stone always moved to wherever someone needed it. Ozawa concluded that the only way to end the terror was to destroy the stone. They finally reached the small shrine. Chihiro got out carrying a crowbar. He started throwing out all the strange dolls in the shrine, screaming hysterically while searching for the stone. Suddenly, he destroyed the shrine, terrifying Ozawa, who was recording. A voice then called out from the forest. Chihiro immediately rushed into the woods toward the sound. There, they reached a pond with a tree in the middle. Ozawa kept recording. Suddenly, he heard Chihiro thank him. To his shock, he saw the stone they had been searching for right behind Chihiro.
Ozawa suddenly remembered what Sayama had said. Chihiro had been looking for this sacred stone all along. He was also looking for someone to sacrifice to Yashiro-sama to bring his child back to life. Suddenly, the calling sound grew louder and the true form of Yashiro-sama appeared. The creature dropped white eye-like lumps from its body, which then attacked and wrapped around Ozawa. Ozawa cried for help, but Chihiro watched him coldly. The creature dragged Ozawa into the black stone. Suddenly, a baby's cry came from inside the black stone. Had Yashiro-sama used Ozawa's life to bring Chihiro's child back? In the end, we returned to Chihiro. It turns out he was only pretending to make content about his best friend Ozawa Yuki going missing. He then showed the baby given by Yashiro-sama, but that baby was not normal. This is where the story ends. See you in the next horror story.